When you think about a traditional machine, there's this comforting expectation of strict predictability. Like, think about a vending machine.
Oh, yeah. The classic example.
Right. You press B4, the coil turns, and it drops a candy bar. It's cold, it's mechanical, and it is exact. You give it an input, and you know exactly what the output will be every single time.
Yeah, that deterministic quality is historically what defined computing for decades. I mean, a machine followed a rigid, predefined set of instructions. It didn't interpret anything. It just executed the math.
Exactly. But then you sit down at your computer today, type a simple sentence into a prompt box, and suddenly a machine is writing a highly customized, rhyming bedtime story for your kid.
Right.
Or, it's generating a photorealistic image of a futuristic city.
Yeah.
Or it's straight up arguing with you about philosophy. And suddenly, that cold, precise vending machine feels, uncomfortably human.
It does. And we have this natural psychological tendency to anthropomorphize anything that responds to us dynamically. When a machine writes a poem, our instinct is to assume, there's a poet inside the machine.
Right, a ghost in the shell.
Exactly. But the mechanics of what is actually happening beneath the surface, like the math creating that illusion, is honestly far more fascinating than the idea of a machine waking up.
It really is. And welcome to today's deep dive. We are thrilled to have you with us because today our mission is to answer a question that is dominating every single conversation in tech, business, and art right now. What exactly is generative AI?
It's everywhere.
It is everywhere. And we've gathered a massive stack of research for this. We're talking everything from a quick reference guide for AI, insights from CTO Magazine, some historical data from Wikipedia, to deep dives into the latest tech tools from XDA and MoveWorks.
It's a lot of ground to cover.
It is. Our goal is to cut through the sci-fi hype, debunk the myths, and explain clearly how AI evolved from simply analyzing our data to actually creating entirely new things. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Right. Yeah, to really understand that leap to creation, we have to strip away the Hollywood misconceptions and establish a baseline for what this technology fundamentally is.
It's just so important.
Because there is a very persistent myth out there that these systems are developing humanity or that they are somehow like digital replicas of the human brain.
Yeah, the research we reviewed from CTO Magazine hits on that heavily. They list out these 8 myths, and the big takeaway is that AI doesn't think or feel. It has zero humanity.
None at all.
Right. But there's this prevailing fear that these models possess an underlying soul. But the architecture we are dealing with today is fundamentally just data-powered algorithms. The quick reference guide points out that we are dealing with narrow AI, not general AI.
And that distinction is crucial for you to understand. General AI, which is the theoretical concept of a machine with self-awareness, sentience, and the ability to understand abstract concepts across any domain like a human does, that is purely science fiction right now.
Totally sci-fi.
Everything on the market today is narrow AI, meaning it's designed and trained for highly specific tasks.
I do think we need to push back on the terminology a bit, though, because when people hear narrow AI, they often think of things from a decade ago.
Oh, like early smartphones.
Yeah, like the Skywell software example of Apple's Siri. Siri uses deep learning and natural language processing to parse voice commands, which was revolutionary. But she completely lacks the ability to grasp human intent or sarcasm or humor.
Right. She's definitely not the fictional HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Exactly. But the AI generating symphonies today doesn't feel narrow. People get scared that it's becoming alive. But my analogy for this is narrow AI is like a highly specialized, hyper-fast calculator, not a thinking brain.
I like that. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this early form of AI, the machine learning models we interacted with for years were entirely focused on analysis.
Right, taking things in.
Yes, taking massive amounts of input data, recognizing a pattern, and making a highly calculated guess based on that pattern. The quick reference guide and the Apple Podcasts source talk about this. It's like Netflix analyzing your watch history to recommend a movie. It's just predicting what you might want to watch next.
So if that early AI was essentially just a giant pattern-matching calculator built for analysis, how did we get to the point where it generates computer code or poetry? Like, a calculator doesn't write a screenplay.
It doesn't. And to understand how we got here, we have to look at a massive paradigm shift that occurred around 2017. The Wikipedia source highlights this breakthrough moment.
The transformer.
Yes, the invention of the transformer architecture.
Mm.
Historically, if you wanted a neural network to process human language, it had to read a sentence sequentially, word by word by word.
Okay.
But language isn't just a sequence, right? It relies on context. If a sentence was too long, the older machines would literally forget the beginning of the sentence by the time they reached the end.
Wow. Which explains why older translation software always sounded incredibly clunky and robotic. It was translating words in a vacuum, not ideas.
Exactly the problem.
Yeah.
But the transformer architecture fixed this, and this led to large language models, or LLMs, like GPT, which shifted the whole paradigm from analysis like guessing what you want to watch to generation. Now it can write the script for the movie itself.
So it's not just making recommendations anymore.
No, these models ingest massive data sets to learn the nuances and contexts of human language. They understand how words relate to each other on a massive scale.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this brings our deep dive to the main event, generative AI. It doesn't just analyze, it creates completely new content.
Yes, it creates the new.
And the quick reference guide breaks down the 4 main outputs of generative AI. First, there's text, which is everything from writing blogs to drafting emails.
Huge time saver.
Oh, absolutely. Then there's pictures, so generating photorealistic imagery. Third is audio, which includes music composition and voice cloning. And finally, video.
And the specific prompt-driven real-world examples from the XDA source on Google Labs are just wild.
Yeah, let's talk about those, like Notebook LM and Illuminate.
Mm-hmm.
You could basically feed them documents and URLs, and they turn them into podcast-style audio.
2 AI hosts just chatting about your PDF.
It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Stitch, which generates code and interfaces. You just describe what you want, and it builds it.
Right, and Flow, which is powered by VO for actual AI filmmaking. You just type a prompt, and it generates a whole video.
It's basically magic at this point.
Oh.
And tracing back a bit, the Wikipedia source mentions that viral explosion of voice cloning via tools like 15.ai.
Oh, man, that took over meme culture completely.
It really did. You could upload a tiny snippet of someone's voice and make them say anything. But what really stands out to me is how these tools act as personalized assistants for you, the learner.
Right, the personalization is key.
Like that Learn Your Way tool. Say you're struggling with a dense topic like data structures. You can tell the AI, hey, I'm a high schooler and I love basketball. And it tailors a study guide specifically to your grade level, teaching you data structures through basketball analogies.
That is just brilliant pedagogy.
It is. But this is where I find myself getting tripped up. When generative AI creates this highly customized, witty, thoughtful content, it sounds incredibly smart. But does it actually understand what it's generating? We just said it's essentially a calculator.
Yeah, that brings us to the most vital concept here. The MoveWorks source introduces this idea of the stochastic parrot.
The stochastic parrot. I love that phrase so much.
It's the perfect metaphor. These models use statistical relationships to convincingly generate human-like text, but they lack true semantic understanding. They are essentially making probabilistic word salads.
Probabilistic word salads. That's a great band name, by the way.
Ah, it really is. But seriously, just like a parrot mimicking sounds, they don't comprehend the meaning. There's a great example in the source.
The Paris one.
Yeah. If a model only sees the phrase, Paris is the capital of France, in its training data, it solidly maps that statistical relationship. But it might completely struggle to logically deduce that France is the country where Paris is the capital.
Wait, really? You can't flip it around.
Because it doesn't know what a capital is or what a country is in the physical world. It has no logic engine.
Wow.
Tying this into the Apple Podcasts concept, AI predicts, it doesn't think. It's just guessing the next word. And this is exactly why hallucinations occur.
Right, when it confidently tells you something completely false. It's not lying, it's just predicting words that sound plausible together.
Exact.
But if these systems are just blindly predicting the next word based on statistics, how do they manage to sound so emotionally convincing and human? Like, I've seen it write apologies that sound genuinely empathetic.
What's fascinating here is that the illusion of humanity comes from the vastness of the human-created data it trained on, not from the machine itself.
Oh, I see.
It ingested our great novels, our passionate debates, our love letters. When it sounds empathetic, it is simply echoing the statistical patterns of human empathy that it absorbed from us.
So we're basically looking in a mirror. That's profound. But, because these highly convincing parrots lack actual comprehension, deploying them in the real world comes with serious implications.
Massive implications. The quick reference guide dives into the black box problem and AI ethics.
The lack of transparency.
Right. Even the engineers don't always know exactly how a model arrived at a specific output. And then there's the presence of inherent data bias. It learns our prejudices along with our vocabulary.
And the corporate risks mentioned in the MoveWorks source are huge. If you deploy a flaky stochastic parrot for customer service, you can end up with a PR nightmare, toxic text, and spreading misinformation.
Nobody wants their brand's chatbot going rogue.
No. And then there are the existential concerns from the Wikipedia source. Do you remember that Pause Giant AI Experiments open letter?
Yeah, that was a huge moment, signed by thousands of tech leaders.
Exactly. They were advocating for safety and alignment before pushing models further, just slowing down to make sure we don't break society.
But we also need to reassure everyone listening, using the insights from CTO magazine, they reiterate that AI is only as good as the clean data it ingests.
It's not a silver bullet.
Right. And it won't cause mass unemployment. It is a tool for augmentation, requiring human oversight. It's going to change jobs, not erase them.
It won't replace you, but someone using AI might replace you.
Exactly. This raises an important question regarding how we regulate and trust these systems moving forward. We have to look at things like GDPR and the European Commission's legal frameworks. We need guardrails.
We definitely need guardrails. So what does this all mean? Let's synthesize everything we've talked about in this deep dive.
It's a lot to process.
It is. Basically, generative AI represents a massive leap in technology because it creates rather than just analyzes. Through models like GPT and prompt-driven interfaces, anyone can generate text, images, and audio.
Anyone with a keyboard.
Right. Yet beneath the magic, they are simply highly advanced stochastic parrots predicting patterns, entirely reliant on us for meaning.
And that leaves us with a truly provocative final thought to ponder, one that builds on everything we've discussed today.
Lay it on me.
Well, if these generative models rely entirely on vast oceans of human-created data to learn how to mimic us, to build that illusion of humanity, what happens in the near future when the internet becomes completely flooded with AI-generated content?
Oh, wow.
When these stochastic parrots start training on data created by other stochastic parrots, will the illusion of human intelligence begin to break down? Researchers call it model collapse.
An echo chamber of probabilistic word salads. That is terrifying and fascinating. So will it degrade back to being just a cold vending machine? That is definitely something for you to mull over the next time you use one of these tools. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.